Today, we're going to be listing 5 ways that you can break through your squat plateau. Hey, Ben from BarbellCoalition.com here. There is no better show of absolute brute strength like a heavy squat. And at first, when you start squatting, everything is great. You can add weight every single week. You're like, this is awesome. I can add 5 pounds every single week to my squat, and I can just continue to do this till I'm squatting 1,000 pounds, easy. And then eventually the day comes where you can't add that 5 pounds on the bar anymore. Where you feel like whatever weight you're on, you've been on that weight for weeks now and you can't make any progress. So what's happening here is you're hitting your first plateau as a lifter. And hitting your first plateau has good and bad news. The bad news is obviously, lifting heavier weight from here on out, it's gonna be a lot harder than it was. But the good news is that now that you've hit your first plateau, in my mind, you're now an intermediate lifter. You're no longer a beginner. While a plateau can and probably will happen with all your lifts, today we're gonna be listing out 5 ways you can break through your squat plateau. The first way you can improve your squat is to assess your technique. The biggest factor in having the strongest squat you can is having the best technique that you can. Next time you squat, film yourself in the gym and then really pick apart your form afterwards. Maybe you find that your knees are collapsing together on the ascent, which could be a mobility restriction, could be a weak glute medius muscle, or maybe you're finding that in your squat you're leaning forward excessively, turning it into more of like a good morning squat. Using the technology that we have nowadays, using your phone to film your lifts is the closest thing you can get to having a coach right there next to you assessing your form. So film your lifts, watch them back frequently, pick apart your form as if you were coaching yourself, and then learn to make corrections. The second way you can break through your squat plateau is to squat more. So the way that our bodies grow stronger is through adapting to certain stresses that we're putting on it. So if we're only squatting once a week, at first when we start lifting as a beginner lifter, that'll work totally fine. But when you get to the intermediate level, we need to look for ways to introduce more volumes. And one way to do that is to introduce a second day of squatting in the week. So squats are a high stress movement. So if you do plan on introducing another day of squatting or more squat volume in general, you want to make sure that your recovery is going to be optimal enough to handle that new stress, because our bodies grow when we recover from the stress we've put on it. So even if we put all this stress on our body, if we're not introducing the recovery time needed, we're not going to grow. And in fact, at some point, that low recovery is going to catch up to us and we're going to experience some kind of injury. Okay, the third way we can break through our squat plateau is by introducing accessory exercises that help isolate certain parts of the legs that contribute to a strong squat. So maybe after filming our technique, we look back and we say, hey, I am leaning forward excessively in my squat. How can I fix that? So one reason that excessive lean forward is happening or can happen is sometimes due to weak quadriceps. So at that point, maybe we start introducing accessory exercises that target our quads specifically. Maybe we start doing high volume goblet squats to build up our quads. So again, this all starts with filming your lifts in the gym. So after you film your lifts, watch them back closely, figure out what technical points you can work on, and then start introducing accessory exercises targeted towards that problem. Because when you start lifting, you're taking big steps. Then at some point, when you start hitting your intermediate level of lifting, it takes these small steps to keep getting better. And it can be frustrating and it can be monotonous, but if you want to keep lifting heavier weights and keep getting stronger, at some point, organizing your training in this way and doing certain things like filming your lifts, whatever it might be, they become necessary at some point. The fourth way that you can continue building your squat is to work on your core stability and your ability to brace under load. So when it comes to completing a big squat, strong positioning is going to be a huge factor in how successful our lift is going to be. And our strong positioning is highly dependent on our core musculature being engaged the entire time. So if you're squatting and your core is not holding up while you're performing a big squat or a big deadlift, what's going to happen is, yes, your squat's going to be compromised, but you're also going to be at a much higher risk for injury. And if you do deal with low back pain when you're squatting or deadlifting, your solution is probably linked to your inability to keep your core braced while you lift. For this problem, I recommend checking out Dr. Stuart McGill's Big 3. I'll put a link to that in the description below so you can go check that out. So fifth way to keep your squat growing and growing is to periodize your training. So the term periodization is just a fancy schmancy word for organizing your training and following a detailed training program over a certain period of time. And what an organized training program will do for you is it'll continually give your body a new stimuli to adapt to over time. Because again, our bodies grow through adaptation to stress that we're putting on it. So if you're coming into the gym every week and you're throwing on 225 pounds on the bar, you're squatting it for 4 sets of 6 reps, you leave and you come back the next week and you put on 225 pounds and you squat it for 4 sets of 6 reps. Week after week, if you're doing this, what's gonna happen is at first your body's gonna be like, okay, cool, we got something new to adapt to. We got this new stress, let's adapt to it. Let's make the changes necessary. But the 3th, 4th, 5th week you come in and do that, your body's like, okay, we got it. What's new? What else you got? And when your body has nothing new to adapt to, it won't have any reason to get stronger. So these are small stresses that you want to put on your body. So if you're squatting 225 for 4 sets of 6 reps and you got that down, maybe you add 10 pounds to the bar and you do 235 for 4 sets of 6 reps. So at that point, your body has something new to adapt to. So using these 5 tips, you can break through your squat plateau and continue to make gains as much as possible. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like below, subscribe to the channel. We'll be delivering content to you every single week. Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, website, all that stuff is below in the description. Thank you for watching.